Hi everyone. Welcome back to section 70 of Sambhava Par. Sambhava Par continued. And the king, having entered the forest, which was like unto Indra's garden, soon forgot his hunger and thirst, and he was pleased beyond measure. And the monarch, laying aside all signs of royalty, entered that excellent asylum with but his minister and his priest, desirous of beholding that rishi who was an indestructible mass of ascetic merit. And the king saw that the asylum was like unto the region of Brahman. There were bees sweetly humming, and there were winged warbles of various species pouring forth their melodies. At particular places, that tiger amongst men heard the chanting of hymns by first-rate Brahmins according to the just rules of intonation. Other places again were graced with Brahmins acquired with ordinance of sacrifice, of the Angas and of the hymns of Yajurved. Other places again were filled with the harmonious strains of Saman hymns sung by vow observing rishis. And other places the asylum was decked with Brahmins learned in the Atharvan Veda. At other places, again, the Brahmins learned in the Atharva Veda, and those capable of chanting the sacrificial hymns of the Saman were reciting the Samhitas according to the just rule of voice. And at the other places, again, other Brahmanas, well acquainted with the science of orthoepy, were reciting mantras of other kinds. In fact, that sacred retreat, resounding with these holy notes, was like unto a second reign of Brahman himself. And there were many Brahmanas skilled in the art of making sacrificial platforms and in rules of karma and sacrifice, conversant with the logic and mental sciences, and possessing a complete knowledge of the Vedas. There were these who also were fully acquainted with the meanings of all kinds of expressions. Those were conversant with the special rites, those also that were followers of moksha dharma. Those again that were well skilled in establishing propositions, rejecting superfluous causes, and drawing right conclusions. There were those having a knowledge of the science of words, that is, grammar, or prosody, of Nikunta, and those again that were conversant with astrology and learned in the properties of matter and the fruits of sacrificial rites, possessing a knowledge of cause and effect, capable of understanding the cries of birds and monkeys, well read in large treatises and skilled in various sciences. And the king, as he proceeded, heard these voices, and the retreat resounded also with the voice of men capable of charming human hearts. And the slayer of hostile heroes also saw around him learned Brahmanas of rigid vows engaged in japa, the repeated muttering of the names of gods, and Homa, burnt offerings. And the king wondered much on beholding the beautiful carpets which those Brahmanas offered to him respectfully, and that best of monarchs at the sides of the rites with which those Brahmins worshipped the gods, and the great rishis thought within himself that he was in the region of Brahman. And the more the king saw the auspicious and sacred asylum of Kashyapa, protected by that rishi's ascetic virtues and possessing all the requisites of a holy retreat, the more he desired to see it. In fact, he was not satisfied with his short survey. And the slayer of heroes, at last, accompanied by his minister and his priest, entered the charming and sacred retreat of Kashyap, inhabited all around by rishis of ascetic wealth and exalted vows. Section 71. Sambhava Par continued. Vaishampayan said, the monarch then, as he proceeded, left even his reduced retinue at the entrance of the hermitage. And entering quite alone, he saw not the rishi, Kanva, of rigid vows, and not seeing the rishi, and finding that the abode was empty, he called loudly, saying, "What ho! Who is here?" And the sound of his voice was echoed back. And hearing the sound of his voice, there came out of the rishi's abode a maiden beautiful as Shri herself, but dressed as an ascetic's daughter. And the black-eyed fair one, as she saw the king Dushmanta, bade him welcome and received him duly, and showing him due respect by the offer of a seat, water to wash his feet, and arghya, she inquired about the monarch's health and peace. And having worshipped the king and asked him about his health and peace, the maiden reverentially asked, "What must be done, O king? I await your commands." The king, duly worshipped by her, said unto the maiden of faultless feature and sweet speech, "I have come to worship the highly blessed Rishi Kanva. Tell me, O amiable and beautiful one, where has the illustrious Rishi gone?" Shakuntala then answered, "My illustrious father hath gone away from the asylum to fetch fruit. Wait but a moment, and thou wilt see him when he arrives." Vaishampayan continued. The king, not seeing the rishi and addressed thus by her, beheld that the maiden was exceedingly beautiful and endowed with perfect symmetry of shape. And he saw that she was of sweet smiles, and she, soon decked with the beauty of her faultless features, her ascetic penances, and her humility. And he saw that she was in the bloom of youth. He therefore asked her, "Who art thou? Who and whose daughter, O beautiful one? Why hast thou come into the woods also? O handsome one, gifted with so much beauty and such virtues, whence hast thou come? O charming one, at the very first glance hast thou stolen my heart. I desire to learn all about thee. Therefore tell me all." And thus addressed by the monarch, the maiden smilingly replied into these sweet words: "O Dushmanta, I am the daughter of the virtuous, wise, high souled, and illustrious ascetic Kanva." Dushmanta, hearing this, replied, "The universally worshipped and highly blessed Rishi is one whose seed hath been drawn upon. Even Dharma himself might fall off from his course, but an ascetic of rigid vows can never fall off so. Therefore, O thou of the fairest complexion, how hast thou been born as his daughter? This great doubt of mine is behoveth thee to dispel." Shakuntala then replied, "Hear, O king, what I have learned regarding all that befell me of old and how I became the daughter of the Muni. Once on a time, a rishi came here and asked about my birth, and all the illustrious one, Kanva, told him, 'Hear now from me, O king. My father Kanva, in answer to that rishi's inquiry, said, Vishwamitra of old, having been engaged in the austerest penance, alarmed Indra, the chief of celestials, who thought that the mighty ascetic of blazing energy would, by his penances, hurl him down from the high seat in heaven. Indra, thus alarmed, summoned Menaka and told her, Thou, O Menka, art the first of celestial apsaras. Therefore, O amiable one, do me this service. Hear what I say. The great ascetic Vishwamitra, like unto the sun in splendor, is engaged in the most severe of penance. My heart is trembling with fear. Indeed, O slender waisted Menaka, this is thy business. Thou must see that Vishwamitra, of soul wrapped in contemplation and engaged in the austerest penance, who might hurl me down from my seat. Go and tempt him, and frustrating his continued austerities, accomplish my good. Win him away from his penance, O beautiful one, by tempting him with thy beauty, youth, agreeableness, arts, smiles, and speech. Hearing all this, Menka replied, the illustrious Vishwamitra is endued with great energy and is a mighty ascetic. He is very short tempered too, as is known to thee. The energy, penance, and wrath of the high souled one have made even thee anxious. Why should I not be anxious? He it was who made even the illustrious Vashishta bear the pangs of witnessing the premature death of his children. He it was who, thought at first born as Kshatriya, subsequently became a Brahmin by virtue of his ascetic penance. He it is who, of purpose of his ambitions, created a deep river that can with difficulty be forded, and which sacred stream is known to be name of the Kaushiki. It was Vishwamitra whose wife in seasons of distress was maintained by the royal sage Matanga or Trishanku, who was then living under a father's curse as a hunter. It was Vishwamitra who, on returning after the famine was over, changed the name of the stream having his asylum from Kaushik to Para. It was Vishwamitra who, in return for the services of Matanga, himself became the latter's priest for purpose of sacrifice. The Lord of Celestials himself went through fear to drink the Somajusa. It was Vishwamitra who, in anger, created a second world and numerous stars, beginning with Shravan. He it was who granted protection to Trishanku, smarting under a superior curse. I am frightened to approach him of such deeds. Tell me, O Indra, the means that should be adopted so that I may not be burnt by his wrath. He can burn the three worlds by his splendor, can by a stamp of his foot cause the earth to quake. He can serve the great Meru from the earth. He can sever the great Meru from the earth and hurl it to any distance. He can go round the 10 points of the earth in a moment. How can a woman like me even touch such a one full of ascetic virtues, like unto a blazing fire and having his passions under control? His mouth was like unto blazing fire. The pupils of his eyes are like the sun and the moon. His tongue is like unto Yama himself. How shall, O chief of the celestials, a woman like me even touch him? At the thought of his prowess, Yama, Soma, the great rishis, and Sadhyas, the Vishwas, the Valakilyas, are terrified. How can a woman like me gaze at him without alarm? Commanded, however, by thee, O king of the celestials, I shall somehow approach that rishi. But, O chief of the gods, devise thou some plan whereby, protected by thee, I may safely move about that rishi. I think that when I begin to play before the rishi, Marut, the god of wind, has better go there and rob me of my dress, and Manmantha, the god of love, had also at thy command better help me then. Let also Marut on that occasion better thither fragrance from the woods and tempt the rishi. Saying this and seeing that all she had spoken about had been duly provided, Menka went to the retreat of the great Kaushika. Section 72. Sambhava Parv continued. Kanva continued. And Shakra, thus addressed by her, then commanded him who could approach every place, that is, the god of the wind, to be present with Menaka at the time she would be before the rishi. And the timid and beautiful Menaka then entered the retreat and saw that Vishwamitra, who had burnt by his penances all his sins and was engaged still in ascetic penances. And saluting the rishi, she then began to sport before him. And just at that time, Marut robbed her of her garments that were white as moon. And she thereupon ran as if in great bashfulness to catch hold of her attire, as if she was exceedingly annoyed with the Marut. And she did all this before the very eyes of Vishwamitra, who was endued with energy like that of fire. And Vishwamitra saw her at that altitude. And beholding her devised by her robes, divested by and beholding her divested by her robes, he saw that she was faultless featured. And the best of Munis saw that she was exceedingly handsome, with no marks of age on her person. And beholding her beauty and accomplishments, that bull amongst rishis were possessed with lust, and made a sign that he desired her companionship. And he invited her accordingly. And also, she, also of faultless features, expressed her acceptance of the invitation. And they then passed a long time there in each other's company, and sporting with each other just as they pleased for a long time, as if it were only a single day. The rishi begat on Menka a daughter named Shakuntala, and Menka, as her conception advanced, went to the banks of the river Malini, coursing along a valley of the charming mountains of Himavat, and there she gave birth to that daughter. And she left the newborn infant on the bank of that river and went away. And beholding the newborn infant lying in the forest, destitute of human beings, but abounding with lions and tigers, a number of vultures sat around to protect it from harm. No Rakshasas or carnivorous animals took its life. Those vultures protected the daughter of Menaka. I went there to perform my ablutions, and beheld the infant lying in the solitude of the wilderness, surrounded by vultures. Bringing her hither, I have made her my daughter. Indeed, the marker of the body, the protector of life, the giver of food, are all three fathers in their order, according to the scriptures. And because she was surrounded in the solitude of the wilderness by Shakuntas, birds, therefore had she been named by me Shakuntala, bird protected. O Brahman, learn that it was thus that Shakuntala had become my daughter, and the faultless Shakuntala also regards me as her father. This is what my father had said unto the rishi, having been asked by him, O king of men, it is thus that thou must know I am the daughter of Kanva. And not knowing my real father, I regard Kanva as my father. Thus have I told thee, O king, all that had been heard by me regarding my birth. With this, we come to an end to this section of Mahabharat. Until next time, this is your host, Madhulika Rajahan, signing off. Stay healthy always. Narayan, Narayan.